up. Let's see. Yep. Tamar with her wins, chatting, sharing the opportunity. Yeah, we've got some good momentum there, Tamar. I'm excited for you, for sure. Um, so guys, we'll start off with the leaderboards, go through any, high level announcements. Sometimes there aren't any. And then what I want to talk about today is very timely, I believe. So again, welcome to the Felix Durgan Ellison Agency team call. This is where we all gather up on Mondays and go through, the week prior, the Symmetries week. We always do the leaderboards week prior. So for the week of 11/22, in the Felix Agency, 4 applications for 65.57. And for the Durgan Ellison week, 11/22, 13 apps for 17,626. Now, of that, we had Joshua, looks like first time writer. Congrats there. Mr. James Burns, 1 app for 956. Carl, 1 app for 1,024. Margaret J. I'm loving, seeing these new writers too, these new names. Mama Margot, 2 apps for 1479. Mr. Brandon Helming, 2 apps for 2601. Brandon was traveling as Rafa is, back from the holidays. Lorenzo, 1 app for 3,000 APV. And Tommy Boy, 3 apps. Tommy's just rolling out the game, 6321. He hates when I say that. And Paige, of course, top of the heap, 6 apps for 8678. That is a great, push to the end of November. Now we get to reset. That's kind of the good and bad of our business. I think it's mostly good. If you're not where you wanted to be last month, guess what? Today's a new day. So the base for the month of November for the Felix Agency, 6 unique writers, 32 applications for 50,048 APV. And for the Durgan Ellison, 10 unique writers, 3 new, 53 apps for 108,863. Great month, guys. And if you're on the calls, if you're reading it all, you know that Tom has just been showing up consistently, leading the way. So great job, everybody. Tommy, over to you.
Perfect. Conversations had this last week. Paige Durgan with leading the board with 7. That's awesome. She's already got a massive agency. She's just building to it. Bridget Felix with 2, James Birch with 2 as well. And I didn't get my numbers in, so I'm not on the board. So I think I had 3, but that's no big deal. This is cool. This is how you build your agency, is to have these conversations about building, and having and enabling people to reach their goals just by sharing the opportunity. So there you go.
Paige, over to you, and Brooks.
Yes, hello. So brand new writers for the month of November. We've got
Brooks.
Becky direct to myself. We've got Kayla and Joshua as well direct to myself. Super exciting for these brand new agents. First app of many to come. And yeah, just kicking it off. When you're official, you're official. Now you know what the end game is. Now it's just working backwards and helping the families get to this position. So great job, everybody. Brand new writers.
Hi, Brooksy.
Exactly, guys. And if you're here, you know how to get here. This is open, the main room, and then always go to the bottom, look for the breakout rooms. It should be fairly easily posted. Most of them have a little breakout room. Our call tomorrow at 10 it's in this main room, this Zoom room here. So this is where we are. This is where we work. And also, if you're new and don't know where to go, guys, please text your upline. We don't know if you are on and can't hear anything, kind of like this morning, me, like, can you guys hear me? So always reach out. We want to make this process, especially in the beginning, as smooth as we can. So it's whoever reaches out the most who tends to get going the quickest, right? So with that being said, guys, being December 1st, I want to talk a little bit about, the month of all the holidays. So December can be, in your mind, a weird month, right? You're going to hear a lot of things. Let's talk about the holidays. It's too crazy right now. Let's circle back in January, right? And if we don't know how to handle this correctly, it'll slow your business down dramatically. And then we kind of start January sort of, behind the 8 ball. So today, the purpose of today's call is going to be some real quick scripts on how to handle holiday objections because they will come, and how to sort of talk about, what we do, or even booking an appointment without, pressure, but just making it urgent. And then once you do book those appointments, how do you get them to stick, right? And not have a bunch of no-shows, right? Because that can happen when you kind of confuse courtesy with consent. So most agents, guys, not just in symmetry in general, they'll kind of check out in December because they think, oh, it's busy, which is exactly why those of us that'll push through, that's why we win. Because families don't stop needing coverage just because there's, lights on the tree, emergencies don't wait, and say, oh, the holiday's over, people get sick, life keeps rolling on. In fact, the month of December, the heart attack and stroke rate tends to, I think, double, maybe triple, um, in associated deaths with it. Now, that's just a sad stat. I don't know if it's the pressure of the holidays, whatever it is, but it does spike in the holidays. So, one thing I'll share with you guys is, in a lot of you probably heard me say this story. So, I started in 2016 in November, right? So, right before Thanksgiving, leading into the holidays, I was brand new. And as I got to right about this week, in the first week of December, I was getting a ton of, can you call me back? I've got all these holiday parties, and I didn't really know how to handle it because I was new. I mean, I used some scripts, but I didn't really know how to like dance the dance. And so I had a huge stack of callbacks, and I say stack because we used to print out our leads. Um, Huge stack of callbacks, right? So I'm talking to my brother Dave, and I'm like, oh, Dave, January is going to be amazing. I've got all these, callbacks, all these people, they're really, really interested. So it's going to be great. And again, those of you that know Dave, he'll just be like, okay, well, try everything you can to book the appointment in December. But again, I was kind of listening to my own thoughts. So January comes. I'm calling people that, let me tell you, they were really, really interested. Oh, yeah, Bridget, I'm interested back in December. And a very, very sincere interested turned into a very insincere not interested in January. I was like, what the heck's going on? But there was one call that stuck out to me, and anybody that's been here a while maybe has experienced this. So, and I remember the names because, again, it's the first time it happened to me. So I give a call to a lead, that said, oh, I'm too busy in December. Call in January. Hey, Rosemary, it's Bridget. We spoke back in December regarding getting some mortgage protection. She's like, we don't need it. And I knew by the tone in her voice something wasn't good. She goes, Fred died over the holidays. Boom, hang up. And I was like, okay. In that moment, I said to myself, no matter what, if I've got somebody on the phone, I'm going to use everything at my disposal, the scripts, the rebuttals, the mentorship, all of it. And whatever happens from there, at least I know I did everything. At least I know that I tried to get them on a call, get coverage real time. Because anybody ever that's been calling call a lead and they've already passed away, you're too late. That happened to anybody? And it's like, yep. And it's like you feel like, okay, there's an urgency to what we do, guys. Make no mistake. There is an urgency to what we do. That's why it's incredibly important to call your leads straight away, get them on the books, right? Because like I said, at the end of the day, if you just look at it like, I don't want that on my plate of not, buying their excuse, in other words, because that stuck with me. I was like, I'm just going to, let the cards fall where they will. So again, that's the whole point of this. We're not selling Christmas decorations. We're literally selling protection, like security for families. So we're going to get, can you call me back? We're really busy. There's the top three are, right? Call me after the holidays. We're crazy. We're too busy right now, or our money is tight, right? Would you guys agree that's probably the top three that we're going to get around there? So knowing how to talk about them in a way that makes sense is what's going to help you. And again, if they still don't move our way, that's okay. That's not something we can control. What we can control is everything that we have, right? So here's a couple of things that I can post this in the chat as well, but kind of call me after the holidays, right? You'll get that. So I'll walk through the actual rebuttal, and then we can post it. And so, hey, I'm going through the call, and I'm getting to the booking script, and they're like, hey, Bridget, can you call me after the holidays? I'm just straight out booked. Some of the things you can say is, hey, totally fair. Just so I understand, is it more, after the holidays, more about time, or more about kind of budget this time of year? Now that's a little bit of a twist, guys, from what we would normally do, right? Because we maybe don't want to hear, oh, it's money. But you can't address something when you don't know what their stopping point is, like what's blocking them. So just let them say, if they say no, it's just crazy. I'm hosting. Say it makes perfect sense. Everyone's juggling a million things. Good news is, guys, this only takes about 10 minutes, and I do all the work for you. Would mornings or evenings be lighter for you this week? Now they've got to think about that instead of, mornings, afternoons. Which was lighter for you this week? They got to tell you. Then you can proceed from there. Now, if they say money, I hear you. Holidays kind of stretch everyone. Um, the only thing that I worry about is if something happened to you, in the next few weeks, your family would still have no protection in place. So what if we started, with something small now, just so they're covered? We can adjust it in January when things calm down. And so this is kind of a shift and a nuance of helping people out of their own way. It's the same thing that we talk about, guys, when we say we don't respond to people's statements or comments the first time they say them in the presentation, because the majority of the time they are simply thinking out loud on autopilot. It's a knee-jerk response. Like, we don't make a decision and why. All those things, most of the time, is just a knee-jerk reaction, right? If they say, hey, we're really busy right now, totally get it, right? You're just absorbing what they say. December is usually chaos for most of us. Just so I can kind of meet you where you're at, what's your schedule look like over the next couple of days? They'll probably say, oh, it's crazy. It's busy, right? Perfect. That's exactly why this works. Only need about 10 minutes, not even enough time to wrap a present. Would before work or after dinner be easier for you? Blocking the time. If they say money's tight right now, absolutely. Almost everyone feels it the holidays. Let me ask you something real quick. If something were to happen to you during the holidays, would things be even harder for your family financially? Now, guys, these are things you need to practice and really believe in what you're saying so you don't sound aggressive. Like, oh, well, they're going to be in trouble if something happens to you. No, you need to be curious. Would things be hard for them financially if something happened to you? And, if you have the right tone to it, they'll say, well, no, it wouldn't be great. All right, then here's what most people do. Just start with something smaller right now, just so you've got something over the holidays. We can adjust it, when January hits. Would you be opposed to starting that way? These are nice, easy, responses, and having a conversation around clearing their air. Like, everybody thinks they're busier than the next person. Fact is, we're all about the same level of busy, especially this time of year. But just letting them know, hey, we only need a couple minutes to see if this makes sense for you. That's all we're looking at. So let's say we were able to book them and we're going through our process. And hey, before I lock this in, are you 100% sure this time works? Because I only schedule one family per time slot. That way I can kind of give you my full attention. That's that micro commitment. Now, these are things, guys, that are philosophies behind all the scripts we use. But what I want us to really key in on is the chatter that we know is coming our way. Anybody that's been here a minute, like times at grace, patience wins every time. Absolutely. You've got to be aware of what you're saying. Abel, thought?
I just wanted to add another common objection we'll get around this time is that they're traveling. And a lot of times people when they're traveling, if I'm going on vacation, I don't want to deal with life stuff when I'm going, but we know how important this is. I think it may have been Paige or even Dave. I don't know. I've been here so long, I don't remember who to give credit to. But they said, "Oh, you're traveling? Oh, where are you going? That sounds like fun, right?" And then they tell you where you're going. I said, "Oh man, that sounds so cool that you're going to Wisconsin to see your family. Are you driving or flying? That sounds awesome." Right. So you're just kind of having a conversation with them. And I was doing this with a lady in Jacksonville, Florida. She said, "Oh yeah, it was like a Thursday and I was trying to book for the next day." She said, "Well, we're leaving tomorrow night to go out of town." And I said, "Oh, you flying or driving?" She goes, "Oh, we're driving." I'm like, "So you and your husband are both going to be in the car for, gosh, 8 hours?" She was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "So you're going to be kind of a captive audience?" I think I actually said captive audience. She goes, "Well, I guess so." So we did the appointment while they were in the car driving to visit their family. And that was 2 years ago. And that policy is still on the books.
Yep.
So it's
That's it.
something that
Yep.
even if they're traveling, they can still handle it. Like they went through the McDonald's drive-through while I was on the phone with them. I was like, "Man, can you give me a McFlurry?" You know, but it was still
Right.
something that you could do. So even if they're traveling, you can still figure out that schedule just like you were talking about and see where you can work yourself in. They're not with family, they're stuck in traffic, they're just going to be talking to each other anyway. Might as well have you there and help that family be protected. So just something I wanted to
Yep.
point out.
Yeah, that's a great ad. And again, guys, this is about having it top of mind. This is about not letting people, again, I don't even want the right word's not even letting people, but people just in their mind think it's this big drawn out process. They think they're, like I said, busier than most of us, but we need to, in a very, professional, curious way, say, hey, are mornings lighter or is later, after dinner better? Because we only need about 10 minutes. And one of the things, Paige, I heard you say one time was, and then we can get it taken care of and you can kind of check that off your list so you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? Because that's what we do for people. We're selling security, protection. This is unlike anything else they'll ever need in this season more than ever. Okay. It'll just mention traveling. Now, again, these are realities, right? Accidents do happen over, on the roads, all the people on the road. So the purpose of talking about this now is right, we're December 1st. I've had one of my best months in December because and if you hear anybody on the call, I think it might have been Ashton DeLongo Lunde say, I think he started in December and nobody told him anything, like holidays, anything. And same thing, he's just like, I just went and did it. It's all about the expectation that we have in our own head and then just using everything we have at our disposal. But Paige, Tom, any feedback on personal experiences with December in general?
I'll jump in here. I think a lot of times it's just our resistance that holds us back with you know, and again, it goes back to self-development. It goes back to what are you thinking is going to happen? Are you thinking that they're going to no-show because it's a holiday? Are you thinking that you're going to have a bad month because everybody's too busy? Are you thinking this? Or are you going positive and saying, hey, they're going to show up. I'm going to dial anyway. My resistance is strictly a mental thing. And once you get over that, right, then you get going. It's always, and I will say this, in December, the first dial is not any harder than any other time. You just got to make the first dial. What we do in our mind and what we say to ourselves before that first dial is the one that really makes it. There's so many extra excuses and excuses in December. There's so many more. And so many other people are filtering those through you and saying, I got this, I got that. And you're like, oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden, yeah, I got that. Just make the first dial. It will clear that resistance up.
Yeah, and just like you just said too, I'm just absorbing it. Like, hey, no, I get it. December's chaos for most of us. Good news is we only need about 10 minutes to see if this makes sense for you. But I like that verbiage of just like, is our mornings or evenings lighter for you? Right? Because people always want to think in terms of how busy I am, and they just get down this whole rabbit hole of like, I don't have time for anything. Well, this is important. And that also goes back to belief in what we do. And if you're new, then you need to get with your upline. I mean, you can borrow our belief in this thing in the beginning until you see what it does. Anybody that's ever experienced a loss in their family, you know, and whether or not they had coverage, right? They know how important what we do is. So I just want us to remember this is just a month. Yes, we've got some added things in, but being that we're virtual, we can take 10, 15 minutes to see if we can help that family. And at least, guys, like I said before, at least you know then, hey, I did everything. I did everything. So when you call them, now again, if somebody's traveling to Australia tomorrow, okay, that's fine. But I would just rather, in a nice way, do everything that we can to get them on the schedule and lock it down and say, hey, if we can help you, because this is buying season as well. And this, not for nothing, as they say, so the rates typically will reset in January. And so it can tick up a little bit. So that's the whole point of this, is remembering what we do and the importance of it, and using everything that we have in front of us to see if we can help them and have a conversation. And that's it. And anybody that has, uses these couple of rebuttals, I'm going to streamline them. I've got a bigger document, so I'll post them in Teams, but tell us your feedback with it, success. Tommy, what do you got?
I was just going to add this, knowing in the back of your mind that this is one of the biggest insurance buying months of the year, followed with January being a 5-week turn-in. There's a lot of massive promotions that can be hit by the end of January, but you have to create the momentum right now. You have to get through that little bit of resistance to get going, because even if you struggle per se in December, the momentum you have set for January will launch you into a strong 2026. So utilize the strength of the buying season in December, and then utilize the momentum that you created and said, I can get through that month and set a record the next month.
Yep. Exactly right. Just keeping it rolling, right? Not breaking it down. Paige, anything to add before we close it down?
Yeah, it's just a mindset like we've been talking about. I've had my best month in December every single year. I've had my best dial day the day after Christmas. It was epic. So just know that if they're serious about this, they will book with you. Okay. It's just about overcoming that initial objection that we all kind of throw out. It's the same thing, right? We go into the grocery store, we go into the department store, and they ask us if we need any help, and we say no, even though we do, right? We're in there for a reason, and it's faster to ask somebody where something is. But our initial thing is, oh my God, no, I'm good. I don't want to be sold to. But remember, they submitted this information. They're looking for the help. And now is a really, really crazy time for people. It's a wonderful time, but it's a crazy time. And just knowing that this peace of mind is there, it just makes for a better holiday season. So go about it with that mindset, and you're going to find your people, and you're going to help your people, and you're going to have a great month.
Yep, exactly. And think about how good that does feel going into the holidays. Like, yep, I just put it all out there, helped as many families as I possibly could. And you go from there, right? Rinse and repeat. So I just posted it in the chat if you want to copy. Again, these are just little tweaks to having the holidays that are in front of us, right? You have to talk about these things and say, oh, it doesn't matter. It can matter. It can make or break your month if you're not thinking about it right. And like, Paige was saying, you just go at it with that mindset of, we're going to help the people that want our help. They responded that, hey, they're interested. They want to know more about it. So hopefully this helped everybody here. It's a good reminder, I think, for all of us, right? When you start getting a little resistance in a row on the phone, just know, hey, I'm going to just use everything. Let the cards fall where they may. On to the next. So with that, everybody have a great Monday. As always, reach out to your upline if you have any questions. If you're having trouble getting on any platforms, hey, what should I be doing now? What should I be doing this week? Text your upline. We want to hear from you. Everybody have a great day. Bye, guys.